everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Prepping by Faith, and today I just wanted to share with you some research that I have been doing, just a little bit of research. I'm going to go ahead and link for you guys the other video that I did if you guys missed it, and it was called "What Are They Planning Next?" in which I talked about the catastrophic contagion exercise that they have done. This is through John Hopkins University, and sponsored by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So there is a video on that. In that video, I did towards the end clip the entire highlight reel for you guys. So if you haven't checked that out, please go ahead and check that out in the description box below. But what I wanted to talk to you guys about today is the type of virus that was mentioned in this video. So I've done a little bit of digging into that. And what they had mentioned was a severe epidemic enterovirus respiratory syndrome is what they had called it. And they are talking about the year 2025. Now, as we know, that timeline is in flux. That could be pushed, sooner. It could be later. It all depends. But we do know that it is something that they are planning for, and they do not do these exercises for no reason, guys. So we need to be aware of this. So anyways, my whole point of this video is to talk about what an enterovirus typically is, and a little bit of research that I have done to sort of discuss this. Now, one of the things that I noticed right off the jump, guys, is that they say that it is a single-stranded RNA virus. So there's that RNA word again, that we know, as far as the last one that we have been dealing with, and the fact that they didn't have anything in the works to sort of deal with that. They had to invent a jab. But here we go with another RNA type virus. So we know what is sort of in the works. This means that this could be something again that has been tampered with. It could also be something that they are going to accelerate, and then they will come out with these vaxes again later on in the future for this, because as we know, this is a moneymaker for them. They're not going to just let one thing go. If they've already got the technology there, it's not going to be that difficult for them to come up with another one for this other type of virus. So they're typically transmitted through the intestinal tract. That is how these are passed along. They've distinguished at least 71 different types of these. But the one that I wanted to focus on, guys, is this enterovirus 68. And the reason that I wanted to talk about this one is because this was actually the one that I feel like they are referencing in the video that they did, because they talked about how it was a respiratory type enterovirus and that it was abnormally affecting the children. So this particular one, this D68, was actually discovered in California in 1962. And although it was once considered rare, it is no longer rare. It is actually becoming more of a worldwide upswing in the 21st century. And it's also been connected with this polio-like disorder called acute flaccid myelitis. And the reason I wanted to talk about that is they did reference that in that drill as well. They talked about paralysis towards the end. So I think this could potentially be the one, or something very close to it, very similar to it, that they are discussing. So that they said this is more than 100 types of these. It's a group of ssRNA viruses that contain, polio and cocci and echoviruses. And it says it's unenveloped. Unlike all the other enteroviruses, this displays a different type. So basically what that means is that it can grow in a lower type temperature environment, right? And it has both the characteristic and features of human rhinoviruses. So this thing, they talk about the clade B1. And I'm going to go ahead and link this for you guys like I always do. I just went to Wikipedia. I didn't go anywhere fancy. I just went for the core information on this to share it with you, because I don't think anybody has talked about this. And I think it's important that we talk about it. So we did know about the several outbreaks that they had in 2005 and 2011. They had some in the Philippines, in Japan. They had them in the Netherlands, in Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Arizona. I know here in my state of Colorado, we actually had an outbreak not too long ago as well. I remember them discussing that. And I want to say that was just, a year or two ago, and I think it may have actually been it may have been just right prior to the coronavirus, so it may have been 2018 if I recall. So basically, they say that children less than 5 years old and children with asthma appear to be more at risk for this type of illness. In August 2014, it did create a bunch of clusters of this respiratory disease in the US. It says it's almost exclusively a respiratory illness, and it varies from mild to severe, but it can create a wide variety of symptoms. They can have none at all, but it could also be flu-like symptoms to debilitating respiratory illness. And then the rare case of a polio-like symptom as well. So the degree of this is, it could be a rash, it could be abdominal pain and soft stools, it could look like the common cold with a runny nose, a sore throat, cough, and fever. And as it progresses, it could become more severe, and it could even cause pneumonia, reduced alertness, a reduced urine production, dehydration, and eventually it could lead to respiratory failure. So they say it was interesting that they talked in here. They also talked about in 2014 the death of this 10-year-old girl in New Hampshire, and severe symptoms. They say less than 100 of the patients that were affected, but they went on to talk about the 472 that were affected during that outbreak. Less than 100 of those were diagnosed with the paralysis. But one of the things about that acute flaccid myelitis is that they say that they followed these children that had paralysis in one or more of their limbs within 48 hours, and the recovery of motor function was poor at the 6-month follow-up. So this is something that once you have it, it doesn't look like these children are going to sort of be able to be rehabilitated out of it. So I just wanted to go ahead and share this information with you guys today. I think it's important that we keep it in the back of our minds. We need to be prepared for these sort of things, what they've talked about, what's coming. And the reason I wanted to bring this to your attention is because a lot of us right now, we're focused on what is happening sort of overseas in large Asian nation. Again, we see that they are having a huge outbreak again of sorts of another variant. And so we are actually shutting down the ability for the travel restrictions again from that country, and other countries are jumping on board with this as well. And while that is something to definitely pay attention to, because we know this is sort of how this started the last time, it's also important for us to know about this other event that they are working on. And so if you guys do see something that pops up like an enterovirus, that is because it does affect the children more, it is something that we need to be watchful of, we need to be alert, we need to be paying attention to in case something like this crops up. And as many of you guys know that have followed my channel, I talk a lot about preparedness. So we talk about making sure that we have the items that we need at home so that we can be prepared for these sorts of things. We don't want to be having to run out last minute. There are plenty of natural remedies that you can have at home. You can also have your over-the-counter things for this. You can of course also have your antibiotics, which those of you who do not know, I am affiliated with Jace Medical. You will get $10 off if you use that code. I'm not on here to sort of promote that sort of thing all the time, but it is something that I think that we should have in our preps. I do think having plenty of food and water and provisions of ways to stay warm and keep cool in the summer, and light sources and cooking sources and all those things I think are so important. With everything that is going on, we have to be our own first responders. So if you guys have enjoyed this video today, please give me a like, share, and subscribe, and remember to pray, prep, and put God first. God bless.